With us today is Assemblyman Mike Norris. This is his first Assembly Update show for 2020. Nice to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Matt. Thank you for having me on the show.
So now the biggest public concern right now is bail reform. Talk to us about that.
Yes. Right now, unfortunately, what happened last year in the state budget is that the majority of both houses adopted what they called a bail reform, which pretty much means that unless you commit a very, very serious crime, you will be given only an appearance ticket and not be held on bail. Well, this has caused a very big concern. And I want to just mention, I voted no on these bail reforms in the state budget, and I also, throughout the fall, worked with local law enforcement to call for a moratorium on these changes because public safety was in jeopardy. And now these laws have become effective January 1st, and individuals who have committed very, very serious crimes, like manslaughter too, are getting an appearance ticket to come back to court. What I think should happen is very simple. A full repeal of these bail reform laws to allow the opportunity for our prosecutors, our law enforcement officers, like our sheriffs, to come around a table and to discuss what changes or modifications would be acceptable to protect the public. You know, there might be some low-level misdemeanors, for example, where someone's being held on bail where really they don't need to be. Those, as an attorney, I understand, can be modified. But the very serious crimes, like murder, manslaughter too, we were at a press conference as well, Matt, where we heard from two victims of family members of victims, and these individuals who committed crimes against their family members are out on the street. A hit and run confession on Christmas Eve, the person got let out. This is just absurd to me. I have asked the governor, the Speaker of the Assembly, and others to put into effect immediately a full repeal of these measures because public safety is in jeopardy. And I believe that our judicial system and our judges should be provided the opportunity to have judicial discretion to determine whether or not an individual poses a risk to society and whether or not they should be held in custody. And so, anyways, that's what's going on right now here at the Capitol. Our number one priority, particularly for our conference, to just urge this governor and the speaker because public safety is in jeopardy.
And with just a couple of minutes left,
sure.
If we could talk about the governor's executive budget, which is being released this week.
Yes.
There is a $6 billion budget shortfall, and I would think that the governor would eventually lean in the direction of raising taxes. Obviously, that's a concern to all New Yorkers.
It's a concern. You know, the biggest concern of mine is the out-migration of population. Unfortunately, New York leads the nation, the number one state for people leaving the state of New York. Last year alone, 77,000 people left the city of New York. That's over 250 people a day walking out of the state with their feet because it's not because of the weather. They cannot afford to live here. Taxes are way too high, mandates are way too high, and the lack of good paying jobs here in New York State is another concern. Now there's a $6 billion shortfall, mainly because of the Medicaid system. 40% of our state budget, over $75 billion a year, goes to Medicaid services. Now, I've said repeatedly on this show before that I believe that, yes, to be a good New Yorker, to be a good United States citizen, I'm okay with helping somebody up who may be on difficult times. But the cycle of dependency where you are on Medicaid for 10, 15, 20, 25 years is absolutely absurd. We need to do a better job in promoting workforce development for these individuals who are in that cycle of dependency, and also to make sure that we redesign the Medicaid programs and ensure that we have efficiencies through there. You know, oftentimes, I understand there are several categories from the federal government where you could get the Medicaid funding from. Well, we're at the top of that. We provide almost every service possible in New York. Maybe it's time to do a full reevaluation, a full redesign of the Medicaid system to reduce costs and to promote efficiencies within the system.
Nice to see you, Assemblyman.
Thank you.
If you would like to reach out to Assemblyman Mike Norris, you can do so. He is available by emailing him at norrism@nyassembly.gov. You can also find him on Facebook. We'll see you next time. For this edition of Assembly Update, I'm Matt Vischer.